quite put my hands on it. No, it's not that. I think I got it. I've been going back and forth with myself trying to figure out how to explain to you guys and how to translate to you the excitement, the true joy, and the actual satisfaction that I'm having as a user, as a consumer, someone who purchased this iPad Pro out of pocket for my everyday workflow and use. I won't lie, it's been a long time of me thinking that the iPad had no use or real value in the everyday consumer's life. Like, I thought tablets were useless because when I wasn't on my phone, I would use a laptop or computer. That kind of rendered the iPad useless to me, or so I thought. That is until I took the leap of faith after seeing so many people rave about the iPad Pro, and I bought the iPad Pro 2020. This is my iPad Pro 2020 review, and I have a handful and a ton to tell you that might help you make the right decision when it comes to picking which iPad you actually need or don't need. Okay, now with there being an iPad mini, an iPad, iPad Air, and an iPad Pro, that's 4 different markets, 4 different consumers, 4 different types of iPads to choose from. Which one should you get? Now, if you're watching this video, obviously you're thinking about getting the iPad Pro. Well, let's talk about what separates the iPad Pro from those other options and if it really makes sense for you to grab an iPad Pro. So basically the iPad Pro is the top of the line. Duh, CJ, I mean, obviously. But when I say it's the top of the line, when they put that moniker of Pro, which is usually Apple's signature word for letting you know that this is the creme de la creme in that offering. MacBook Pro is the top of the line MacBook that they offer. The iMac Pro is at the top of the line iMac that they offer. Happen to own both. Love them. So therein lies, it's only right that I get an iPad Pro, right? Not necessarily, but I did grab the iPad Pro. Now, it's no surprise that the ARM chips that Apple creates for these iPads and their iPhones, and soon to be MacBooks and iMacs, we're gonna talk about that in a separate video. These chips are extremely powerful. They're in a class of their own, and they're unmatched, especially in the tablet market. I don't think there's no tablet that can keep up or run as efficient as the iPad Pro. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hit the comment section. Just be respectful. So let's think about this. iPad, it wasn't for me. iPad mini, nah, I need something a little bigger. iPad Air, attractive, but it wasn't quite it. The iPad Pro packed every bang and punch for $1 that I expect in a device that I'm gonna use from Apple. Now, when it comes to that ARM chip, the reality is these things are benchmarking extremely high, so these things are powerful and can handle any large workload you throw at it. Now granted, these are limited to 6 gigabytes of RAM. I think this is the area that separates the iPad from a MacBook Pro. I mean, come on. I got 32 gigs of RAM on that MacBook Pro. 6 gigs, not gonna cut it. And it's probably gonna be one of the challenges going forward for those of you who want Final Cut Pro on an iPad Pro. Let's talk about design. Now this iPad Pro has a beautiful aluminum design. Shout out to both of y'all. With a beautiful glass front, beautiful display. Now yes, that glass front display is gonna be a fingerprint magnet. Do like I do, keep a microfiber cloth around. Wipe it down if it gets unbearing. So we get these really nice cameras on the back of the iPad Pro. Now, let's be real. Who's picking up a huge tablet to take a photo? No, right there. Wait. I got it. Hold on. Ooh. Hey, this concert lit. Yo, let me get this on my phone for my IG player. Hold up. Am I the only one that want to use an iPad at a concert? So that camera bump is not the most ideal and useful thing. Hey, it's a camera there if you need it. Also, LiDAR sensors, which is future tech, which is AR and all of that, to be continued. One thing I will say, consuming media on this thing is, Now when it comes to consuming content on this here iPad Pro, this is the machine you want to do it on. Not saying you can't do it on the other iPads, but the quad speaker system on this thing is amazing. Sounds so good. Apple initiative lately with speaker quality and speaker sound on all of their devices, from the iMac Pro to the MacBook Pro 16-inch to this here 2020 iPad Pro, has been stellar and bar none. Absolutely love it. Thank you, Apple, for this. Another thing that adds to this build quality is the 120 Hertz refresh rate display. Why does this matter? You Notice the difference. It's super fast, super snappy, and super responsive. So when you're doing things on here, it just feels so intuitive, so smooth. It's like I'm on Minority Report moving those windows and things. The iPad Pro is flawless in usability. Like, this thing is as smooth as butter. And if you haven't seen my video that I made about the essential iPad Pro accessories, I highly recommend you do it because it increases the user experience so much more when you add the ideal accessories. Number one, a keyboard. Now there's the Smart Keyboard Folio, which is the cheaper option that Apple offers, and it's actually really good. But then there's the new Magic Keyboard, which is their higher end, more expensive, only if your budget can afford it, keyboard. This thing packs a real keyboard experience, as well as a trackpad, as well as it's extremely useful, extremely well built, and it kind of completes the iPad Pro for me. Then you can add Apple's own Apple Pencil, which is extremely good. Artists who sketch, who draw, or just someone who wants a stylish style interaction with the iPad Pro, the Apple Pencil is a great tool to use. Now, outside of those Apple accessories, there are gonna be things that you're gonna need, like dongles or accessories to expand, so that way you have SD card readers, USB-A, as well as HDMI ports and USB-C ports. And after you have your dongles and so forth, I recommend an ergonomic mouse. The Logitech MX Master 3 is absolutely phenomenal. It's the best mouse in the world. Okay, now that we got the basics out of the way, build quality and accessories, let's talk about who the iPad Pro fits. It's for that user that goes beyond the typical basic needs, like the typical things that you can do on an iPad, or consume content, social media, web browsing, email, like documents, and so forth. If that's all you're gonna be doing and that's where you're gonna top out at, the iPad Pro may not be for you. But for those more professional, more high-end users, say creatives, people doing video editing, photo editing, audio editing, this is like the ideal sidekick and assistant to all of us media professionals for sure. Now, to you high productivity, high-end professionals, the iPad Pro fits you as well. And then I see a lot of students. The iPad Pro is actually quite useful for a student because not only if you add the Apple Pencil and being able to draw and write out notes, but then it doubles as a productivity workhorse, so you can do all your presentations and so forth. And then it goes even further with your media consumption at high-end, high-level performance. So one thing we have to do is not get caught up on the word Pro and understand what Apple means when they put Pro at the end of their device. The iPhone 11 Pro, iMac Pro, MacBook Pro, and now iPad Pro. The Pro just lets you know that out of everything that we offer in this lineup, this is the top one. Now, one thing I want to share with you wholeheartedly, unapologetically, without any filters, is my enthusiasm and excitement for this product. I've grown to love this thing. Mind you, I was the person who said that iPads was useless for years. Like, I've been in the Apple ecosystem, an active user within this walled garden by choice, not force, for years. I mean, a long time. Check the facts. You know, I threw out an iPhone 3G, iPhone 3GS, iPhone 4, iPhone 4S, iPhone 5, all of those boxes and actual units, just so you know. But in all of those years, I've never found an iPad to be useful. I never thought it made sense until I owned this here iPad Pro. And it absolutely changed my mind, absolutely changed my workflow. Now, I'll be honest, when you look at my screen time, it's gonna look crazy and bogus because it's gonna be a huge amount of hours going into Twitter. I'm on Twitter full time, I absolutely love Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, what are you doing? Go follow me now. That's the best way to interact with me, like live and direct for the majority. Like I'm on there a lot. I won't say how much, but you guys can see the screen on time. In me showing you my screen on time, I just want you to see that I am actually using this thing throughout the week for hours on end. From sunup to sundown, my iPad Pro stays corner right pocket to the MacBook Pro when I'm at my workstation, or in my backpack riding along with me when I'm out and about. See, the key thing is I have yet to fully unlock and get into this iPad Pro fully. I'm just scratching the surface. And that's why I'm so excited and enthusiastic about it. I've dabbled in some light photo editing. You know, there's super premium high-end apps for the creative, such as Affinity Photo, Photoshop, Lightroom, LumaFusion, GoodNotes, and Notability for the note takers. Everything you need, every which way form. The app selection is humongous. I still have to get in and dibble and dabble in some high-end photo editing. I've already done some Lightroom tweaks and I love it. So I'm able to go from my camera, EOS R, send it directly to my iPad Pro, touch it up in Lightroom, and I'm good to go for social media posting. I've done this so many times over and over, and I absolutely love it. It's time to take it to the next level with Affinity Photo and trying to play with, testing some thumbnail creation in the iPad Pro. My bro C-Kid and my bro Terry Warfield, they're already 2 leaps ahead of me on that. And then there's the infamous idea of people who choose the iPad Pro strictly for all of their creative needs. They're video editing, they're doing their photos, they're doing their thumbnails, they're doing all inclusive within the iPad Pro as a creator. Now that to me is very intriguing, and it's hard for me to fully grasp that as someone who relies heavily on my MacBook Pro because of Final Cut Pro. I enjoyed the Photoshop experience on Mac OS as opposed to iPad OS because it's far more intuitive and far more familiar to me. But it's just the idea that the future that the iPad Pro holds and what it is now is super exciting going forward. I say all this to say that I am now a believer that the iPad in general is useful, let alone the iPad Pro, which is super useful. And that's basically just kind of what I wanted to express and have you guys understand, that I absolutely love this thing. So there's gonna be a follow-up, more in-depth review. I would love to do valuable content around the creative process on the iPad Pro, as well as valuable content around productivity on the iPad Pro. Just valuable content in general on the iPad Pro. So don't be surprised. And you might as well hit the subscribe. Did I rhyme there? Did I catch the bars? Nah, not really. Because content is coming on this here beast. And also comment down below and let me know what you want to see me demonstrate or maybe help you with, so that way I can help you. Help me, help you. My name is CJ, this is CJ Knows Tech, where I like to get to know tech so that you don't have to. I spend my money so you don't have to just yet. And you can come here and find out if it's worth your hard-earned dollars. Oh, got a phone call on the iPad? Hold up. Hello? Who this? Tim Apple. Man, I'm in the middle of making an iPad Pro video right now, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, I bought an iPhone SE. No thanks to you. Look, man, I'm tired of having to buy the Apple products every time they come out. I need to get on the list. And you still trying to act like you don't know what I'm talking about. Tim, don't play me, player. I know you got a list. Hey, I'm talking to you on this big iPad. Give me 1 second.